Shenmue is an open-world action RPG video game developed by SEGA AM2 and published by SEGA for the Dreamcast. Shenmue's story takes place in 1986 Japan and follows the life of Ryo Hazuki as he arrives home to witness his father's murder by a mysterious man named Landi. Ryo swears revenge on Landi, and from here starts his adventure. Shenmue's creator, Yu Suzuki, who was previously known for some of Sega's biggest arcade hits like Space Harrier, Outrun, and Virtual Fighter, was looking to make a much longer experience when creating Shenmue. In doing so, he created a game unlike anything else. Shenmue has a day-night system that determines when events could take place, a combat system that's based off of the Virtual Fighter games, quick-time events, minigames galore, and a fantastic soundtrack. Shenmue is a video game way ahead of its time, and its influence on the gaming world can still be seen today in games like Grand Theft Auto, God of War, Mass Effect, and the Resident Evil series. I cannot forget to mention how much I love the voice acting in this game. It's so bad, it's amazing. If you removed it from the game, it just wouldn't be the same game. It's part of the charm that makes Shenmue, Shenmue. This game is Yu Suzuki's masterpiece, it's a must-have for Dreamcast owners, and it's a must-play for Sega fans. Let's get sweaty.
Inspired by the Gulf War of the early 90s, Desert Strike is a non-linear shoot-'em-up where players take control of an Apache chopper and complete certain objectives in a desert environment. Objectives include destroying enemy weapon installments, rescuing hostages, or capturing enemies, all the while keeping a close eye on your fuel and ammunition. At the time, Desert Strike was EA's highest ever selling game and enjoyed an average review score of over 90%. The top-down perspective showcases 3D modeling of the world's elements, with the chopper enjoying some realistic imitations. In its day, the game was criticized for its subject matter, given the recently concluded Gulf War, but the series still managed 4 sequels in the following years. Desert Strike is a 16-bit classic that still holds up as an excellent strategic military experience.
Back before it became normal to see zombies thrown into every other game to come out, Konami gave us this thriller of a game on the Genesis back in 1993. You play as a boy or a girl, rescuing not only the neighbors, but babies, dogs, and the cute cheerleaders as well, in 55 stages of top-down shooting and item-throwing action. Environments themselves are varied and include malls, pyramids, and castles. The zombies don't hog all the spotlight either, as there are also mummies, dolls, lizardmen, giant spinning babies, Martians, and more that you and a friend can team up against in this totally rad adventure that just screams 90s when you play it. You don't even have to be a zombie or horror fan to enjoy this Sega classic, just a fan of fun and goofy gameplay.
NBA Jam. While not an exclusive to a Sega console, the arcade port of NBA Jam created waves anywhere it landed. The glory years of the NBA, the Jordan era, is arguably where the league peaked in notoriety, and that's evident in NBA Jam despite not even featuring the great Michael Jordan in the game himself. All NBA teams are fully licensed here, and with the original featuring 2 star players per team. The arcadey feel of the game shines through with catchy voiceovers from Tim Kitzrow with sayings like, "Nail in the coffin," and "Boom shakalaka." Dunks from star players can be a spectacle with flashy and over-the-top animations. The most classic feature of the game is catching fire when a player makes 3 consecutive unanswered baskets. Here, Kitzrow yells, "He's on fire!" He sure is, and so is NBA Jam.
Comix Zone. This colorful, imaginative beat-em-up on the Sega Genesis has garnered a huge cult following over the years, and not without reason. It's the perfect example of how hardware limitations of the 16-bit era could be surpassed with the developer's passion and creativity. You play as the aptly named Sketch Turner, a starving comic book artist and rock musician who becomes a victim of his own creation. His newest comic revolved around humanity's attempts to defend the Earth against aliens, but a powerful mutant named Mortis manages to escape the pages and in turn sucks Sketch into the post-apocalyptic wasteland of New World Empire. Using a variety of combo attacks and weapons to battle foes, and an arsenal of items to solve puzzles, including your pet rat Roadkill, this game keeps you on your toes every cell of the way to an epic conclusion with multiple endings. With a healthy amount of difficulty, a fantastic soundtrack, and some of the best beat-em-up action on the console, it's incredible to think that over 20 years later, it's still the only one of its kind.
Number
25.
Phantasy Star. Phantasy Star was a game ahead of its time. Not only was it one of the first role-playing games released on a console in North America, but it also had fleshed-out characters with their own stories and motivations, including a strong female protagonist, Alice. The game begins with Alice avenging her brother, who fell at the hands of the evil King Lassic's soldiers. Alice's adventures take her across the 3 planets in the Algol star system, where she'll visit towns, explore dungeons, and build up her party in order to complete her quest. Phantasy Star expertly blends fantasy with science fiction and has some of the best graphics ever put into an 8-bit game. Had the Master System been as popular as the Famicom, we might very well be enjoying Phantasy Star 15 today. As it is, though, we'll simply have to remember Phantasy Star on the SEGA Master System as the greatest 8-bit RPG ever released.
As a fan of light gun games, House of the Dead was always one of the first things I hit up at any visit to the arcade. A mad scientist has figured out how to reanimate the dead, and you need to infiltrate his mansion and battle the undead forces to save your fiancé as well as other hostages in the house. Your actions and ability to save hostages impacts how you progress through the game, how you enter the house, where you go, and even the ending. The hit detection is great, and you can have a lot of fun blowing the limbs off zombies or splattering their brains. It's a gory and campy good time. House of the Dead did get ported to a number of home systems, but the arcade version is the best, and even better with the second player.
Wonder Boy 3: The Dragon's Trap. With his last dying breath, the Mecha Dragon has cursed you. You've been turned into Lizard Man, and now you must wander Monsterland searching for the Salamander Cross, a magical item that can restore you to human form. To find it, you'll have to defeat the dragon bosses, each of whom will curse you with an additional animal form. But with these new forms come abilities that will grant entry to previously inaccessible areas and assist you in surviving the varied environments found in the game. You'll have to make your way across land, sea, and air in order to finally remove the curse and return to your true human self. Wonder Boy 3 is a Metroidvania-type game from before the term had even been coined, and it's one of the best action platformers on the SEGA Master System.
The Sega CD is much maligned by Sega fans and critics alike. And while it is home to a number of FMV games of questionable quality, it's also the lone console where you can find one of the best graphic adventure games ever, Snatcher. Hideo Kojima's early masterpiece has it all. A wonderful cyberpunk story influenced by classics like Blade Runner and Terminator, excellent writing and voice work, exciting light gun shooting segments, and one of the best original soundtracks out there. I wasn't sure what to expect when I first played this, but the combination of off-color humor and a quirky robot pal, held together by excellent execution, cemented it as one of my favorite games on any platform. Now go find those Snatchers, Junker.
Number 21.
Ecco the Dolphin. Originally released in 1992 on the Genesis, Mega Drive, Game Gear, and Master System, and in 1993 for the Sega Mega CD, Ecco the Dolphin is an action-adventure game where you play as the titular Ecco, a bottlenose dolphin, who must travel through time to save his pod from aliens. An extremely atmospheric game, Ecco boasts some iconic and in some cases haunting ambient music, along with a singing mechanic that triggers glyphs and functions secondarily as sonar. Ecco can also use a dash to launch himself out of the water, along with ramming his enemies. Ecco's adventures have been ported to just about every platform, including a number of Sega compilations, and you owe it to yourself to give this game a try. Ecco the Dolphin, just keep swimming.